Morning class. Today we'll be learning about the rankings tab on PvPoke. So grab a seat, get ready for notes because it's time for a lesson. Just a quick reminder, if you want a better grade in class, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you would like to see what I do a week in advance, check me out on twitch.tv/super science sensei. Hope to see you guys there. Okay, so today we are going to be learning about the rankings tab. So I heard a lot of people talk about the rankings tab. So we're going to use the rankings tab today. You guys can find it right here where it says rankings. We're going to look at how to use it, best way to use it, best all the different parts, and how it's determined. So first off, um, the most important thing to understand about the rankings tab is not just to look at the rankings. It's about understanding how to read these different parts and what you're looking at. Now, if we look at Great League, which is currently going on, you guys see that Azumarill is at the top, Galarian Stuff is next, and the rankings tab is nice because it tells you what is probably going to be used a lot, and also what is commonly seen. So Azumarill is going to be seen often, it's going to be used often because its stats are amazing. Now, if you look at, when you click on any mon, it'll open up and it'll tell you the key wins, key losses that these mons have, right? Also tells you what moves are available. The stat typing, if you guys are new to PvP, is really cool to understand what typing the Pokemon is, what it's weak to, and what its resistance against, right? So for example, Azumarill being a water fairy is weak to electric, grass, and poison, but resists these 6 types, right? And if you look at it, you see how it says 0.625 for water, but it says 0.39 for dragon. That means Azumarill double resists dragon typing due to its fairy typing. Okay, so that's what's really cool here. They even tell you the attack range, defense range, HP range, plausible for the mod, and also the points. So that's really nice for looking at this ranking tab. Now, the important part though, that's really, really cool inside the ranking tab is these different roles. If you guys click at the top, it'll tell you what things stand for. So for example, even though Azumarill is number 1, Stunfisk is number 2, Altaria is number 3, and Deoxys is number 4, this is not always true for every situation. For example, if you look at leads, apparently, according to PvPoke, the number 1 lead is Mantine, followed by Machamp Shadow, followed by Azumarill, and so on and so forth. Now, does this mean that every single time we build a team, we just want to go PvPoke, be like, okay, I'm going to put the number 1 lead in my team, number 1 switch in my team, and number 1 closer in my team? You could, but that's not going to always make it the best team. And the reason why is you guys have to look at your key wins and your key losses. You want to build a team that's crafted that suits your style and suits what you're seeing in the meta. Okay. And one real important thing about these rankings, though, is that you guys have to understand how it's determined. I'm going to go back to roles in a bit, but one of the most important things I look at this is the about rankings. You guys just look at the rankings. You guys don't look at everything else. But at the bottom here, you see this? You click on it, and it will tell you how the rankings are made and how to use them. PvPoke already has the information that I'm going to tell you in the video, but I want you guys to look at it more closely so you guys can understand that the ranking doesn't mean everything. Okay? Inside the rankings, it's all assumption that you're gonna get the bait on the low energy move, right? That both you and your opponent are gonna use 1 shield, and it doesn't account like these numbers for the win loss don't account for like if they just decide to farm you down, how much energy they have left over. There's a lot of things that need to be accounted for that isn't applied when making these rankings, and they even talk about how uh, they tell you how these rankings work, how the numbers are obtained, but more importantly, it tells you the algorithm. It tells you that it's based off of averages. He even tells you each Pokemon moveset is given an optimum set for every matchup. This can cause some Pokemon with broad movesets, just like Mew or Suicune, with hidden power, to rank more highly when they practically should. This is already just in the overall rankings, but may appear in the team builder. This right here, you guys have to understand. Like the ranking is nice for a guideline, but it is not going to be the end all of everything. You guys have to make sure we use this as efficiently as possible, and we're going to talk about how to use it in just a bit. Now, even though I've talked about it before, I'm going to re-go over what each one of these are. Leads are for the best Pokemon that starts out with shields. They're the ones you want to start the fight with. It's the one that you want to start at the beginning, right? Now, if you see Mantine is at the top, remember, these assume that they're going to shield the first Bubble Beam, which is unlikely. And shielding the Bubble Beam, Azumarill still wins. And Azumarill, as you guys notice, is rank 3. So it is not, because you're going to run into a lot of Azumarills in the lead, Mantine might not be the best. Neither possibly Shadow Machamp, because once again, Azumarill is an issue. If you're running into a lot of Steel types, though, Machamp may be the one you want to run. You guys have to look at what your key wins are, what your key losses are. If you guys are trying to find a lead that works for you, you want to see, hey, what am I running into often? What can I pick that beats everything I run into often and doesn't lose to the things that I run into often? You guys have to find that balance and what your team wants to do. Closers. Closers the best Pokemon with no shields in play. These are the ones that usually have either a lot of bulk, a lot of hard hitting moves, or a lot of energy generation. Okay, Electivire Shadow apparently is a really good closer in Great League. The reason for this is because they assume uh, you're gonna gain enough energy, you're gonna take a hit, you're not gonna die, and then you're gonna be able to double wild charge whatever is next, and hopefully they have no shields left. Okay, um, closers are nice. You'll look. This is usually what you look at the end. The things that you guys generally should look at is maybe a core, a lead, and possibly switches. Switches is also usually one of the things you look at the end because they're really cool. Switch. The switch is the best Pokemon to switch for an unfavorable lead. These Pokemon have safe matchups, can pressure shields, and deal heavy damage even in their losses. So, inside this list right here, it says the number one lead, the number one safe switch in the entire game is Deoxys Defense, which I wholeheartedly agree with. Now, with that said, when you guys look at this right here, and you look at Deoxys Defense, right? He's a psychic typing. So, even though he is the number one switch, if you decide to lead with Hypno, which I know a lot of people do, because like Hypno, even though it's rank 88, it still wins against Azumarill, which is very common. Can take on the fighters that are also pretty common, and can take on a Haunter, which is pretty common, right? If you guys lead Hypno, but your safe swap is going to be Deoxys Defense, you had better have something that can deal with dark types, and you have better, and it better be a okay switch, or you're gonna be in trouble, because if not, Umbreon will tear through two parts of your team without needing any extra assistance, and that's why when you pick a switch, you have to pick the switch that's best for your team. Okay, so leads. Pokemon you start with have shields. Closers, no shields in play. Switches is what you switch into from an unfavorable lead. Really important. Chargers and attackers. These guys sometimes can be pretty good safe swaps. The Chargers specifically, because if they have extra energy, they can win a lot of matchups. And attackers, that's also a thing as well. Now, note whenever you click on these matchups here, look at this matchup. It says 571, right? And look at this matchup. It says 526, right? Now, the matchup changes because it's under assumption of like how much energy or so you start out with. Okay, because if you look here, they start you out with extra energy because they assume that you get 3 fast moves before you swap. Now, that's a dangerous thing to always assume. So you guys have to think about how fast your opponent can swap and how the energy looks. So as long as you understand where the numbers come from, you're going to be okay. And especially right now, there are times where you might lose fast moves due to lag and stuff like that. So you have to watch out for things like that. One other thing that am not fully sure about is if you guys look at Drifblim, you notice that the fast moves, Hex and Astonish, you see how this is the word preference here? Don't put too much emphasis on the word preference because it's not like 73.3% of the case Hex is better than Astonish. That's not how it works, because Hex is always better than Astonish. If you guys look at the moves for Hex and Astonish, right? Hex does more damage. Hex gives you more energy. Hex takes the same amount of turns. Hex is just inherently better than Astonish. You never want to use Astonish. I heard that the preference is based off of TDO, how much total damage output you can have based off of your energy gain and the charge moves you can throw at stuff on average. So keep that in mind. But yeah, there's never a time, like, generally look at the moves, see how you can use it. Since I have gotten through the different roles and we understand that the ranking isn't the most important thing, then what is the purpose of it and why should we use it? It's useful because it gives us a general spread of what can be useful and what you might want to use. And more importantly, it can be useful for team building. Now, I told you before, sometimes you guys are looking for something for a team building, right? Now, a fun team that I used the other day is I wanted to use a Skarmory, I wanted to use a Whiscash, and I wanted to have a safe swap that was a fighter. I didn't want Vigoroth because Vigoroth was weak to counter moves itself. And so whenever you are looking for a specific thing, see this right here? You guys could just put the word fighting and it'll show you all the fighting types. And look at that. Primeape showed up as the #1 safe swap. And so that's why for a little bit of time I was running Skarmory, Whiscash, and Primeape. The use of the ranking tab helps you kind of figure out what might be playable even if it's not readily apparent. And then you could try it out and see if it works well for you. That's a really cool thing about the team building tab. Team building tab has some fun work there, and that's what you guys want to look at. So once again, to review, when you're looking at the rankings, it helps you look at different things, helps you look at the overall stuff, but more importantly, it helps you specify what you might want to use. If you are looking for specific teams, you want to look for a lead. You're like, I want a lead that is a grass type. Hey, maybe Obama Snow might be for you. Maybe Tropius might be for you. Maybe Shadow Grottle could be for you. Or Shiftry, right? If you want to use for a lead for a different typing, you can use the rankings to help you build teams. You can use the rankings to help you figure out if your mon is going to be good. But if you really want to look into great detail on how well it's going to fight and how well it's going to play, you guys should look at the battle tab. The battle tab works really well. The battle tab has a lot of good stuff, and we have a video on the battle tab explaining a lot of those things as well. So overall, rankings tab, lots of good fun, lots of cool things, lots of fun stuff to deal with, but it's not the be all end all of what Pokemon's the best. Just because it's up here doesn't mean it's the best mon in general. I know you guys have some other classes to attend. With that, I hope to see you guys all next time. Class is dismissed.